I don't know what I'm talking about though. What was Hi guys, welcome back to MK Sportscars here, and if you've been subscribing you'll see us continuing on the build theme with the RX-5 140. So it's the standard, if you haven't subscribed, you hadn't seen before, it's the standard Mazda engine in here. This is the 1.8, but this is the VVT variant, and we've been cracking on with this, and you'll probably see it's changed quite a bit. It's got its face on and it's a bit of bodywork. So we're starting the front end here. So there's a couple of different choices in nose cones, and how they fit is very, very similar, but slightly different. So this is what we call like the cup style nose cone. It's got double vents here for the grill, oil cooler if you're going on that rate, and up here as well, so there's plenty of air gets through the nose cone. So if you're going turbos and other areas, or you're looking for more track work, this nose cone certainly does help with the cooling feature. Standard one actually is behind you here, like what we see on here. This is a standard one. You can see the different variants. It's just got one on here. This is just in for IVA because it's got a different grill that's under there. That's the only reason. But it's the same principle, mounted in the same way. Just inside here, you can't see it, but there's a mounting bracket and two little fixings that go on. These are little M6 with nuts. We've put the mesh in here. We supply this mesh, and you've got to make sure that it's a certain size and radius for IVA compliancy, and we just bond that in from the inside with the same adhesive that we use for the floor pans and bonding on the front wings and those areas. That all gets bonded in, and then it's nice and secure, and also protects the radiators and your oil coolers from any small debris and stones, but allowing the air to flow through. Now once the nose cone is bolted on, which is pretty simple, you've got a fixing here which is on the inside with an M6 and one underneath with the M6. You're then going to be lining up the bodywork, which is the scuttle, which is fixed inside here. We can see it from this side. I'll move round for you. There's 4 fixing points on the scuttle, 2 on the left and 2 on the right, pretty obvious, but they're here. Again, a little M6 here and here. These studs are already on the chassis in place, so you just got to drill the hole in the fiberglass and slot that on. And there's a little slot that you have to do here just to clear this bar, which is where mounting for your steering column. So make sure you put that little U slot into that. Now when you come to IVA, just checking along this edge here is quite sharp. You will need some small amount of U trim, and also on the ECU panel at the end here. We can just see it here coming off there. You need to put that U channel on because that's classed as a sharp edge, and it would fail the 2.5mm radius test for impact from a knee or leg or body component underneath. So trimming here and trimming here, that's nice and aligned. Once that's on, what we do is on the bonnet, I think we showed you last time, there's 4 corners on the fitting video. We showed you in the bonnet 4 corners of this to cut out, and that's so it slots over the scuttle and the nose cone. Now once it's in position, we just use masking tape, as you can see here, to pull it down and hold it in position, and then we align the brackets up, which is your bonnet catches here. Got 2 fixings and 2 fixings here. All we've done is slot the catch on, hold it in position, drill the 2 holes, slot the other catch on, mark the holes and drill them in, and then we rivet those onto the panel. Now you may catch the chassis just here in a corner, or you may just miss it depending on the height that you run it. As you can see, this has gone all the way through. The chassis rail finishes about there, so it's literally 3 or 4mm off of it. On the inside of that, if you use a pill rivet, it's fine. If you don't, make sure when you put this through, use a small washer on the back of the rivet. That certainly helps giving any stress fractures to the fiberglass, because you can end up with some stark crazy. So that's all aligned up quite nicely. Fitted, dry fitted, and we'll do the bonnet catches and do the final alignment, because we've got to do some other bits with the stripe pack on this particular one. Now on the front here, we've got the headlight bolts. These bolt through quite simply. You've got a bolt here, a bolt and a nut here. We have the indicator that presses in. This bracket is all in one, and it runs through with this 75mm bolt. And we're just on with the wiring of this now, which is your standard H4 little 3-pin here, and then you've got your side light all going to the lens, and the indicator coming through here, which runs through, and the little wires are through here, and they come out into this area for all your wiring for your indicators, side light, high beam, earth, low beam. That will run through and run up and tidy up through here and back into your wiring loom. nice and simple. These will be IVA compliant if you're putting them on the vehicle. Obviously if you're going in a different source we can't guarantee that, or if you're doing your own build, but on the RX-5 these will make the distance of 400mm, which it needs to be from the edge here of the indicator and the headlight, is a maximum of 400mm to the side of the widest point of the vehicle. So if your rear wing is sticking out further than your front wing, make sure it is compliant with the widest point of the vehicle, not necessarily just the front wing. Checking it against the rear wing is always a good measure as well. Now on the front we have the wing stays. Now these are supplied in the kit and they are a universal one that have to be bent. We do a one that comes for this 205 tyre with a 13-inch wheel, or the other ones you then bend, which is here. We just heat them and bend them at 45 and a 45 to make this across, and then we bond them on. So this, once you've aligned the front wing up here, making sure that this is flat. Don't really want the wing facing downwards or upwards. In this position it then makes sure that you comply with a 30-degree angle test for the IVA compliancy, because if you push this too far around you could foul in that and you'll be fine on the back but not on the front. So making sure that this is completely level and flat. And what we do is just run a bead of silicone under here and along the back one along the wing stay, and then we press fit it and masking tape that overnight, do the first fix, and then we'll come on, take the wheel off and then just do a final bond on the underneath there and run it over the bracket. There's a little flat bit of metal under there that you run it over the top. Top tip for you there, rubber gloves, small bit of the old fairy liquid. It allows it nice to get a nice smooth surface on there. So fairy liquid on a glove and smooth it over once that's done, and that will give you a nice permanent fixing on there. We've still got the indicators to do, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Right, moving on to the middle of the vehicle and then onto the rear, we've got these side sill protectors, which we've protected at the moment. These just slide on. These come pre-powder coated and bent. They will slot on, and then there's two rivets just to drill in, one here and one here, and that holds that in position. It also holds the panel in position but also protects the side panel, and again they are IVA compliant. And then just along this edge here, which is a raw edge, we've got the U-trim just in place for the IVA compliancy to make sure that that meets the requirements as well. All the interiors have been riveted in, and what we've done on those, we've put a little bit of sound deadening in there as well to give them a nice more solid feel rather than a tinny feel. That really does help quieten the centre tunnel down. Moving on to the rear, boot cover you saw last week, that's all finished off now. Nice even spacing on your press studs there. We've just got to put these ones in, these two, because what we've done now is we've put the stripe on. And the reason we're doing the stripe now is we're going to be fitting the fog light and number plate light and these poppers in position. So it's better to put the rear stripe in. If you go into a stripe, put that on now. Don't worry about the front section, but put that on now, because trying to do it afterwards and fitting the fog light and getting it all centralised makes your life a bit more of a challenge. And then we'll put these last final fixes in for the press studs. So, well, you think pretty obvious what the colour this is going to be, orange with a grey. We have done this on a demo car before and that looks really strong. The rear lights are in position, just a final fix to do on those. We're going to square them up and make sure they're nice and level. These have the reflector in, so if you're not using these, have to have a reflector. And these have got the indicator, side light and reverse light and brake light all in one unit. They've got to be a certain distance, which is, I think it's 350mm from the floor, so they've got to make sure, but obviously once you get that in position, square that up, make sure it's in line. It's got a nice little rubber pad behind, and then we'll get into the wiring on that. So looking really good. It's going to be nice and clean and simple along the back, which is like it, and a nice carbon vinyl boot cover, looking really sharp. But got to say, we've done this before. We've done it in yellow and grey. That looks strong. We've done it to the orange, changed the look of the car again, looking extremely strong. So fuel filler cap fitting, pretty simple affair really. It's just drilling the circular hole and making sure that this is in a line when you put it up, so these two align, getting it centralised. And then this is a lockable one, so it's IVA. It doesn't require a tether on this particular one, because once you unlock it you can't take the key out, and they do them in a vented one or non-vented. If you're going non-vented, then you will need on the fuel tank you'll need this breather, because you need to let air in and out when you're filling up, and also for when it's pressurising, if there's any heat, you need to be able to escape that. And of course also, if this is a one-way valve, if the vehicle was to turn over, then there has a little ball in here that stops the fuel running out. So this will need to go. If you're doing a vented one, it's not necessary. You can just seal that off because this is already venting out for you and letting air pass. Now inside here we've then got the 51mm hose that joins from the back here into the fuel filler neck on the fuel tank. Now we use these, the normal standard Jubilees can leak because this has got a wire strip in here, and we use these specific clips for them so it goes in between the wire, and that joins it and gives it a nice clean join, but also makes it fuel safe and fuel tight. If you use a standard Jubilee, sometimes we've experienced leaks, so make sure you're using the correct clip for the correct application. Now while you're in there, you will do your final thing, we spoke about it last time, is making sure you've got this in for IVA, which is your fuel tank earth strap. So we come from the T here up to the tank, which is off the pump, and make sure that's in position. Right, so we're sort of wrapping up where we are at this particular stage of the vehicle and where we're going forward with it. Now, if you've got any technical questions you want to know about that, questions with Sean, fire them in the comments below. We happily answer them for you guys. Don't forget, there's a couple of different variations on the bodywork. The nose cone, which is the cup one, we do the standard one, and we do an Essex one. There's a couple of little variations there, and we do this without the scoop. We've done it on the demo car here, has a flat bonnet. That is required, no problem, for the non-VVT variant, but the VVT, because you can see that in here, the VVT variant does contact it, so just bear that in mind with the bodywork. But best thing to do is hook us up and phone call, email, or come and see us at factory and we can talk through your specs. That's it for this week. Questions below, happy to hear them. Look forward to seeing you next time. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you next week.